Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Touch. I'm Darwin Campbell. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the FSBC in Glendale for your encouragement and for your growth. You know, we have been talking about the importance of the value of training up a child in the way that he should go. Why is that important? Well, if you remember, Aristotle was the one who said, "You give me a child for 7 years. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man." Again, that was stressing the importance and the emphasis on training young minds, developing young hearts and minds for life. Well, in this particular segment of the Morning Touch, I want us to go one step further. This is not something that just happens. It's not like planting a seed in a field and walking away and allowing the elements to grow it. There's already too much of that in our society where we send our children to school hoping and praying and thinking they're going to get spiritual values for life. They come away with education, but they lack spiritual values. So, where do the values come from? They come from church. They come from Vacation Bible School. They come from children's church. They come from Christian schooling. That's where the values come from. But again, the question remains, all of that works, but there has to be a starting point somewhere. If we are to give children the light of God and the knowledge of God from Psalms chapter 78, we have to recognize our role as parents. Parents, you have the most important role in developing and nurturing the light of God in the life of your child. If we want better tomorrows and greater tomorrows, it starts at home. The church can help, Christian schools can help, but the bottom line is they will learn primarily from you. So when it comes down to passing from one generation to the next, the knowledge and the light of God, parents, you play an extremely valuable role in that. Let's examine Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7. Listen to what God says. "And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." You know, training and teaching and spiritual development and exposing your child to the light of God begins at home. We can't wait until they become teens and try to expose them to the light of God. We can't wait until they're young adults and try to nurture them or push them into the kingdom of heaven. That's not going to happen. We must understand that at the very beginning, in the trenches, is where most of the dirty work is done to build and develop that young child of God, giving them the knowledge of God and the light of God, instilling that in their heart. That's why in Deuteronomy, the children of Israel were required to teach their children, rising up, sitting down, every single day. They were required to know and study the Word of God. But you see, it wasn't just sit down and read that. It was an example from the leaders, from the parents, from the community that made the difference in teaching them the light of God. We know today in America, a lot of that has been lost. They don't want us praying in schools. They don't want us even saying the Pledge of Allegiance almost. It's gotten just that bad because of our lack of emphasis on spiritual values in the home. It is poured out into our communities and neighborhoods to where people frown about the Bible and they frown about God because we have not been strong enough to stand up and stress the important emphasis of how important the Bible is to the life of young people, to the life of old people, to the life of a community, to the life of a state and a nation. It's time we get back to that. Deuteronomy 6 and verse 7 says it right, and it's something for all of us. Where do you fit into this equation, parent? It starts with you. The life you live, the example you present in front of your children, your behavior and your speech, they're like sponges. They become small U's, little U's. As they watch you talk, as they watch you walk, as they watch you argue, as they watch you fuss, as they watch you in frustration, as they watch you in depression, as they watch you in happiness, as they watch you in love, they're like sponges. You teach the most important lesson because you are in front of your children. And the example and the impression you do and you leave will have a lasting impression on their lives. Many prisoners who are doing time right now in the penitentiary have expressed what they lost in childhood, how their parents failed them, whether it be by fighting, divorce, drugs, drinking, cheating. They failed them. And it left a dark impression on the heart of that young person who grew up to commit violent crime and now is sitting in a penitentiary for life. We failed at the beginning. We failed at the start to teach the principles of God that would have given them the tools and the light to fight evil and to fight Satan in their lives. It's very important that we understand the value and our role in teaching the gospel at a very young age. You see, the power of the canary in the coal mine is this. We as parents become too busy, too consumed with our own selfish desires, too consumed chasing pleasure and money and material things, that we leave out the most important component, that is our child. It is the most valued treasure of God. As a matter of fact, we're told in the scriptures that children are a heritage to the Lord, the fruit of the womb. It's a heritage. It's a treasure. It's valued to God. It's important. But we become so consumed with our own lives and our own selfishness and our own desire to advance and get promoted that we walk away from the responsibility of training a child in the way that he should go. And then we look today and we see that we have reaped what we have sown. We've got looters, we've got protesters, we've got violence, we've got all types of crime, unspoken and spoken, that is just unbelievable. What happened? What happened is we became so selfish and so consumed with our own desires that we forgot God. And when we forgot God, all we did was we raised a stubborn and rebellious generation. It's time we change that curve. It's time we have the discussion. It's time we sit down and devise a plan to change the direction that we're headed in. But it starts in the home, with the home, and with parents. Reintroduce and return to the values of the Bible, reintroduce the Word of God in the hearts of the young people that you are responsible for raising. In order to do this, we've got to want the best ourselves. To do this, if we want the best, we've got to give them our best. And that means giving them time. And that means showing them an example. Show them how important the Bible is to you. Show how important this book is to you in your life, in your worship, in your faithfulness. Show them what a believer looks like. And when you can show them what a believer looks like, and you demonstrate the value of how this book is linked to their hearts and makes them a better person, you will be well on your way to giving them the best so that they can be the best. Let's refocus and return to the Word of God and teach our children the light of God. Parent, it all starts with you. You are the most important person in this equation to build a better tomorrow and build a better future and to help return this nation to God. You know, the Morning Touch is brought to you by the FSBC in Glendale for your encouragement. We hope that this has been encouragement. We hope that this has been thought-provoking. And we hope that it will result in you make a decision for change. God bless you and keep you. We'll see you again next time on the Morning Touch.